shall we begin?
Let the games begin.
All right.
A new age has begun. An age of freedom.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
This is the chopper!
This is going to be quite a ride.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Pet Podcast. I am your host, Christian Renteria. This is the podcast where we talk about all of the big breaking movie news items that came out this week, along with the trailers and the movies that are coming out in theaters and on streaming this weekend for all your viewing pleasures. Hello, everybody. This week's podcast is going to be a little different because there, once again, wasn't a lot of movie news to talk about. And I didn't want to leave you guys without another podcast this week because I almost did. I've been having some issues with my laptop, so I don't know how this podcast will be coming out. But if it does, by some miracle, then awesome. If it doesn't, then it's, there wasn't that much to miss. So let's just get right to it. This week, we're not going to start off with the trailers, or at least not mainly. Mainly because there wasn't just a lot of big movie news items that came out. So very quick trailer thoughts on some things. There was a final Dune trailer that came out. I have not watched it. If you listen to the podcast, you know the whole final trailers thing. When the studio does that, it kind of, makes it seem like they're just really trying to get you to finally win you over. And they're going to put a lot of stuff that maybe you want to see for the first time on the big screen or on streaming or whatever. But yeah, so I usually avoid final trailers just because I don't want to, get the movie spoiled or anything like that. So, but if you need to watch all the trailers for a movie that you're excited for, there is a final Dune trailer that came out. There was also a new trailer for Paranormal Activity: The Next of Kin, which is the new Paranormal Activity movie, kind of a restart as they've been calling it. That will come out on Paramount Plus later this month. I'm not going to watch it because we're just a few weeks out, and I just kind of really want to go in clean, really, to see what it was. I watched the first trailer that came out, was it last month or 2 months ago, something like that. So I think that's enough for me on that end. I am going to watch it. I am, kind of sort of excited to watch it. Hopefully the hard restart will be pretty cool. People connected to it are really cool. So yeah, there is that. There was a couple other trailers down there as well. One of them is the new trailer for A24's movie Red Rocket. That was co-written and directed by Sean Baker, who was the guy who pretty much wrote and directed also Tangerine a few years ago. That was the movie that was shot entirely on an iPhone, and then he directed the Florida Project about the two little girls living in a hotel or in a motel next to Disney World, if you remember, or Disneyland, one of the two, one of the Disneys. Florida, I forget which one. I always forget which one's in Florida, but that one, of course, made a lot of waves. That also co-starred William Dafoe as kind of like the motel manager. So he directed this Red Rocket, which seems kind of like his other two movies. It's about a kind of down on their luck main character. Here he's played Simon Rex. That's the actor's name. He's pretty much mainly known for the scary movie movies. So it was kind of interesting to see his name pop up in this, but he plays Mickey, a former porn star who comes back home to Texas where he's not necessarily well received. And the trailer kind of shows him like going to his wife, who it seems like they have a very estranged marriage. But he goes there and she's not very welcoming. And then he meets this kind of random girl, woman, out on the, while he's, trying to figure everything out, and kind of runs into some problems or something. Because I don't know, the trailer doesn't give too much away. Obviously, like the trailers never gave too much away about Tangerine or about the Florida Project. So this one's definitely gonna be probably on a lot of people's radar. It will come out in December. So we'll probably be hearing maybe some award talk, or at least some festival talk, definitely for sure. There was also a new trailer for Netflix's new movie, Tick, Tick, Boom. No, nothing related to the White Stripes song. This is the feature directorial debut of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's directing, stars Andrew Garfield, where he plays Jonathan Larson, who was the real-life person who wrote Rent, obviously one of the biggest, Broadway musicals of all time. And this is kind of his story of how his upbringing and not necessarily his upbringing, but the time right before he wrote and created Rent. So it's kind of hard for me to gauge musicals especially in trailers, because it's like everything's kind of written out of context and you don't really know what it's about, or you kind of have an idea what's going on, so you're kind of trying to pace everything. This is kind of brand new and entirely brand new. Hearing some decent things, I think. Andrew Garfield's been going around and promoting a lot of things recently. This and The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which premiered at the New York Film Festival not too long ago. So there's that. But the big trailer this week, which we will talk about in the movie news items, because I just need to fluff up that movie news circuit, and this is arguably, at the time of this recording, the biggest movie news item to come out this week. So let's get to the movie news items. First and foremost, before we get to any big movie news items, this could be a big deal, especially if it goes through. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, or IATSE, announced this week that almost a unanimous vote from its union members are in favor of a nationwide strike. And if you follow anybody that works in Hollywood, writers, actors, directors, on Twitter, recently they have all been, coming out and supporting this group, because these are basically the crew. Anytime you hear about crew or casting crew or anything like, these are the people that make everything work. Camera guys, lighting guys, production assistants, everything. They make Hollywood run. And this is the first time in 128 years of the existence of the organization that a nationwide strike has been approved by a unanimous vote. And the support of 98% apparently of the voters is clear indication that the 60,000 members who work in TV and film productions will keep pushing for better work conditions, because that's what this is all about. This is about them not having good work conditions. This is about them not having a set break time or a set lunch time. These are about people who work holidays, who don't really get any sort of, who don't get really any time off, who don't get paid holidays, who don't are kind of not treated the way they're supposed to be treated, or not treated like, the stars of the movie. Granted, yeah, you can make that argument, but if it wasn't for these people day in and day out, not having set hours, really, sometimes they work longer, sometimes they work when they're not supposed to be working, we wouldn't be having movies. We wouldn't have movies, we wouldn't have TV shows. So negotiations between the group and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers have been going on for months, with the IATSE wanting better working conditions, like I just mentioned, which, again, if you read about the working conditions and everything like that, is really fair. They're not asking for that much. They're asking for fair working conditions mainly. And yeah, they're also asking for probably a pay bump, because they don't get paid that much either. So let me throw just another number at you. Almost 90% of the group, of the organization, casted their ballots. And of that 90%, out of the 90% of the 60,000 people, that's 53,000 members who said that they are united and want to strike. And this is a big deal. Nothing has come from it. They haven't officially announced a strike, at least at the time of this recording. There's new stuff coming out every day about this, coming out and stuff like that, of negotiations and stuff like that. So obviously, if something massive drops, I will, put it here on the podcast. This is huge. If they really do go on strike, everything stops. It's not like the writer's strike, where, back, all those years back, where the writer's strike happened, where like producers and stars and directors were writing the scripts for TV shows and movies. One of the prime examples was Quantum of Solace. If you remember, that was going on during the writer's strike, and it was the director and even Daniel Craig who were writing the script and coming up with the story and everything like that for that production. This is different, because if they go on strike, there's nothing happening. Nothing goes into production, because they need them. You want to go guerrilla style and have the director, shoot their own stuff and edit their own stuff, and have, whoever's not in front of the camera, actor wise, work the microphones and lighting and everything like that. Probably like a lot of independent shoots do, or even, YouTubers for that matter. Then that's probably what's going to happen if they want to keep production. But that's a lot to ask of people, of actors who obviously are not paid to, do their own lighting or, carry a microphone or stuff like that. So This is a big deal, and I wanted to mention that because if something like this does happen, it's going to send a massive message to Hollywood and a massive message to anybody else who thinks that, you can just walk over these people who are responsible for giving us all of the entertainment, really, at the end of the day. So, I just wanted to mention that because that's a really big deal. All right, so the next movie news, I wanted to mention this this project because it sounds kind of interesting. It's a pretty exciting dystopian action movie, and it's gearing up to shoot in South Africa next year. Boy Kills World, that's the title of the movie. They have added Bill Skarsgard, who played Pennywise in the It movies, Samara Weaving, and the Raid star Yayan, I'm going to mispronounce the last name, Ruhian, I think, Yaya Ruhian, I don't know if he played Mad Dog in the Raid movie, or he played one of the assassins in the last John Wick movie. But Skarsgard will play Boy, a deaf mute with a vibrant imagination. When his family is murdered, he escapes to the jungle and is trained by a mysterious shaman who will be played by, I believe will be played by Ryan, because later on in the report it says that Ryan plays the boy's mentor. So there is that. So maybe he's playing the shaman. To repress his childhood imagination and become an instrument of death, Weaving will play an assassin named June 27th. Yes, her name in the movie is June 27th. So there you go. Another big name attached to the project, which is why I find it more interesting, is that Sam Raimi, yes, horror icon, horror director icon Sam Raimi is producing the movie with German director Moritz Moore making his feature film directorial debut. So that's kind of interesting. I just found that kind of cool because it sounds pretty cool and it has a pretty interesting cast. I like Samara Weaving. I will watch anything she's in because she's awesome. Obviously, I'll watch anything that I can't even pronounce his name, but I'm going to watch everything he's in and probably assume that he's going to be messing some people up. And then Bill Skarsgård, obviously, making a name for himself. But other than Pennywise, he's been joining some projects here and there, which is pretty nice. Let's stick with horror here for a second. It is October, so obviously there's going to be some horror movie news items. The reboot of Hellraiser has reportedly wrapped filming. Not only that, the cast has been revealed, which is a lot of newcomers, a lot of young faces that people probably won't recognize. But obviously the big one here, the one that everyone's going to be focusing on, the one that everyone has so far been focusing on since this news dropped, is who's playing the new Pinhead. And it's a gender swap. It's Pinhead's going to be played by actress Jamie Clayton from the L Word Generation Q TV series. She was also in Sense8. She is also a transgender actress, which is really cool. And I'm glad that I haven't seen any nasty comments about that on Twitter yet. I'm sure they're there if I go searching, but I'm glad that that's not the case. So she would be playing the new Pinhead in the movie, of course, originally played by Doug Bradley, so perfectly and awesome and iconic. David Bunkner, who directed The Night House earlier this year, directed the movie and co-writes the script with his Night House co-writers as well, which is based off the story that was created for the movie by David Goyer, who, of course, all of it based overall by Clive Barker's novella, The Hellbound Heart, which, of course, in turn, he turned into the Hellraiser that we all know and love. Barker himself will also be a producer on the movie, which is nice considering, I didn't know this, considering he's having a legal battle over the American rights to the franchise due to copyright laws with the original production company. But he will be producing this. He said they released a statement with him saying a lot of nice things about Bunkner's vision and David Goyer's story and everything that happens. So that's pretty cool that he's involved in this and pretty much giving them the stamp of approval. So that's pretty cool. And as for the rights, Barker will get them back by the year's end in December. So that's, again, pretty cool. All that said, the movie is described as a, quote, loyal and yet evolved reimagining. There's no release date yet for the new Hellraiser movie, but it will be coming out on Hulu, so we'll be going to streaming instead of a theater release. I'm okay with this. This is pretty cool. If you've read The Hellbound Heart, or if you remember anything about, the Cenobites that Clive Barker has created, they don't have a gender. Everyone just assumes that Pinhead is a guy because he's played by Doug Bradley. But if you remember in the books, and I was reminded of this, when I was reading the online reaction, the Cenobites, especially Pinhead, don't have a gender. So they're also, I don't like swearing that much in the podcast because I've just gotten so used to not swearing, but they're also fucking demons. So just get over yourself. If you really think that, it's going to bother you, then not just a woman is playing Pinhead, but a transgender woman is playing Pinhead. If that really bothers you, bro, because you all know who's getting pissed off by that, don't watch it. Don't watch it. We don't need your opinion. But I think this is pretty cool. I think it's pretty awesome. And she released a picture. I already forgot her name. Let me. Jamie Clayton released a picture of her holding the box from the movies, which is pretty cool. It kind of looks like the original box. I think they kind of changed it up a little bit, probably. I haven't seen Hellraiser in a while, so forgive me if I say it looks the same. But she seemed pretty excited about it, and I think everyone else excited about it. And they already finished filming, so we'll have to see what comes of that. But I'm excited. I didn't mind the original Hellraiser. I remember I watched it really late, and I watched it again for the first time. I think last year, maybe two. No, it was definitely last year. I watched Hellraiser again for the first time in a long time last year, and I didn't remember a lot of it. I was watching. I was like, I don't remember a lot of this. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with this. I think it's pretty cool. All right, the last movie news item is a trailer that I talked about. It is pretty much a big trailer, that a lot of people have been expecting and wanting for since, photos been coming out slowly. That is the first trailer for the rebooted Resident Evil movie titled Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. And it looks okay, to put it nicely. It looks okay. The movie is set in the 90s, September 30th, 1998 to be more exact, because that's the date that says in the trailer. And it sees Claire Redfield, played by Kaya. I always mispronounce her last name. I don't know why I always do this. Kaya Scorladario. Again, I apologize if that's not how you say her name. She's from the Maze Runner movies. I can't speak. She's from the Maze Runner movies. She was also in Crawl. So she's in here. It looks like she goes to her brother, Chris Redfield, played by Robbie Amell, to get help to bring down the evil Umbrella by uncovering a deadly secret. They are joined by Jill Valentine, played by Hannah Jane Kamen from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think that's probably where a lot of people will probably know her from. She plays Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She was also in a great TV series that I really enjoyed called Killjoys, which was on the Sci-Fi Network. Leon S. Kennedy is also going to be appearing in the movie, played by Evan Jovia. I don't know where you guys would probably know him from. I guess Zombieland Double Tap. He plays the hippie guy that they meet throughout the movie. So he's in there. Albert Wesker will be played by Tom Hopper from the Umbrella Academy. Lily Gao is also in the movie. She's playing Ada Wong. I don't remember if we see her in the trailer. I don't think we see her in the trailer, but she is going to be, Ada Wong is going to be in the movie, played by Lily Gao. Neil McDonough will be playing William Birkin, who has a very big history in the Resident Evil lore. And Donald Logue is also in the movie. He will be playing a character named Chief Brian Irons, who, based off the trailer, not gonna make it. just based off the trailer, probably not gonna make it. I also don't believe he's a character from the games. So although granted the history, players from the characters not from the video games tend to make it for a while, but I don't. Based off the trailer, I don't think he's gonna make it. He might be like the big name actor who dies like in the first act of the movie, probably. So the trailer is filled with a lot of Easter eggs from the games. You have the Ashford twins, which again, this thing is, it seems like they're going to be, going really dipping into the lore. So you got the Ashford twins, you have the mansion, you have Lisa Trevor, who, if you're a Resident Evil fan, and especially for the games, especially the recent games, Lisa Trevor is a character from the recent games that has a connection to the original so the timeline of Resident Evil is very weird because they like to go back, and that's kind of what they're doing here. They're kind of going back to the origins of Umbrella, and Lisa Trevor's kind of connected to that, but she's in there. There's also the liquor that appears, and it looks like from the trailer also they're recreating the first shot of the zombie reveal from the video games, and I thought that was pretty cool. They're doing that. So I'm sure there's other stuff in there that I missed. That was just the stuff that I was able to remember and to get from some of the outlets that I was able to read before I started recording. I've actually been looking forward to this for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think the cast is pretty good. I know most won't probably agree because they don't look like their video game characters, and that has been the massive negative. One of the massive negatives, anyway, that I've seen online so far for this, that they don't look like their characters. A lot of people online don't like how the cast just don't look like their video game counterparts, and I guess that's fair to say for the most part. They also think the movie looks low budget or like a fan film with some fan casting and some spotty CGI. And I will give you the spotty CGI because there are some, things in the trailer that look very spotty. One of the zombified dogs does look very spotty. There is, before the liquor reveal in the trailer, there is a shot of a monster and it looks, oh my God, it looks so rough. It looks bad. Like, I had to stop the trailer because I was like, there's no way they put that in the trailer. It looks so bad. And I hope that they go back and touch that up before the movie comes out, because it looks really rough. The feel of it, though, yeah, it does kind of, it does look like it's not a big budget movie. Because I don't think it actually was a big budget movie. I don't know what the budget was for this movie, but yeah, it doesn't look like a big budget movie. And granted, Resident Evil movies don't really need to be that big of a budget, especially if they're setting the movie in not a lot of locations. If they're setting the movie in the mansion, you can kind of fake that a little bit, So I don't know. The look of it does look rather, I will say, honestly, it looks a little cheap, but not like super cheap, not like cheap like these people are saying that it is, but whatever. Again, cast wise, I like the cast. I think once people get over that they don't that they don't entirely look like the characters from the video games, and actually watch the movie and not have a knee-jerk reaction to how these characters look or talk or interact with each other based off the first trailer of the movie, I think maybe they'll appreciate it. But the song choice, this is the thing that I will agree with most people as well. They're online, and the thing that I really find rather interesting about the trailer, I don't care about song choices in trailers most of the time, if ever. But the song choice here is really odd. It's the song by Four Non Blondes, "What's Up," in case you need a reminder of what that song was called. It kind of took me out of it. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of took me out of it at first. I don't know if maybe they were just going for the 90s nostalgia feel, but it was a rather interesting choice. They went with that, especially considering this is the first trailer for a rebooted Resident Evil movie that will have no context or connection to the old the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies. This is a brand new thing. This is entirely new, has no connection to it. They're hoping that this will start a franchise, and I hope it does. I don't know how. I don't know how they're. I kind of expect that at least one of these characters or two of these characters are gonna die, because that's kind of what it looks like. Although it's Resident Evil, no one ever really dies. So there is that. But yeah. I didn't mind the trailer. I thought the trailer, it's a questionable first trailer for a movie that a lot of people were expecting. I like the cast. I think this cast is great. I like the cast. I do. I like most of them. I like a lot of their work that they've done. Especially Hannah John Kamen, who I loved and Killjoys. And that was kind of my first real experience with her. And I'm glad that, when she appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp as Ghost, I was like, hey, I know her. And I think that was a lot of people's first exposure. She was also in, I don't know if she was in 1 or 2 episodes of Black Mirror, but I know she was at least in 1. So I think that's kind of their exposure. But if you want to see more of her, highly recommend the sci-fi original series Killjoys. Really good, a little cheesy, but I think it's supposed to be. So, and no, I don't think it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be. So, but I really enjoyed her in that. Kaya, I don't know why I said her name like that, because I don't know her personally. But I'm not gonna try to mispronounce her last name again. I really liked her in Crawl. I think the Maze Runner movies, I think in the first one she did a pretty good job. I think she was kind of a little underridden in the next 2 movies. But you got her in there. You got Robbie Amell in there, who, yeah, he's a pretty face. That's I think everyone's gonna assume that from him, and I think everyone probably knows him from the Babysitter movies on Netflix. But I haven't seen really a lot of things he's done in, or a lot of things he's been in, and even the stuff that he has been in that I've seen, he kind of has like these small roles in it. So I don't know if it can carry a movie, although it doesn't really look like a Chris movie. It looks more like a Claire movie, which is pretty cool. But I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm still excited. Despite some of the missteps of the first trailer, I'm still kind of excited to watch. I don't know if I'm going to watch it in theaters. I'll probably wait till it comes out on demand, or something like that, available to rent. But if I do get a chance to watch it in theater, maybe I'll go watch it with some buddies. Maybe I'll go watch it with some friends. We'll run out of theater, go watch it, and have some fun with it. But Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is directed, by the way, by Johannes Roberts, who directed 47 Meters Down, and will open in theaters on November 24th. I think he does. He also directed The Strangers Pray at Night, which was part 2 to The Strangers, which I thoroughly enjoyed as well. So and 47 Meters Down, I think once you get past the fact that there's not really a lot that the movie can go off of, it's an okay movie. But I really like what he did with Strangers Pray at Night. So I am looking forward to seeing what he does here. So again, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City will open in theaters on November 24th. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the end of the podcast. Let's talk about the movies that are coming out in theaters and that are streaming for all your viewing pleasures.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, so let's start off with the movies that are coming out on streaming for this week. We'll start off with the Netflix movies. The first one is Escape the Undertaker. That is a co-production with WWE. The New Day, Big E Langston, or Big E as he's known now. Also WWE champion, Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston all go to the Undertaker's mansion to hopefully blend the powers of Undertaker's powers and the power of positivity, and obviously some creepy stuff goes on because Undertaker does not like to be bothered with shenanigans. So yeah, I haven't heard anything. It's an interactive movie, so be prepared to start picking your choices, what you want to do in there. So there you go. The other Netflix movie coming out this weekend is There's Someone Inside Your House. What? That's the name of the movie. Don't freak out. That's the name of the movie. Relax. The graduating class of Osborne High is being targeted by a masked assailant intent on exposing the darkest secrets of each victim, and only a group of misfit outsiders can stop the killings. I saw we talked about this trailer when it came out. I believe it was last month, I think, when it came out. And I thought it was okay. It looked rather. I think the concept of it is rather interesting. That a killer is gonna, coming after these kids and he's exposing the secrets. And I think one of the main characters is kind of like a new character in town. Like she moves from like Hawaii. I think it's like Hawaii or something. Yeah. And she moves to this, town. And she finds this group of friends, and all of a sudden people start dying. While also, getting exposed, their secret, the darkest secrets being exposed. Like one of them's like a heavy drug user and like selling drugs. The other one's like having an affair or something along those lines. So I remember seeing the trailer for this, and it looked fine. It's a bunch of high schoolers getting killed off by some killer. So why not, right? All right, so there you go. Those are your Netflix movies. Your Prime Video movies include the other two Welcome to Blumhouse movies. We talked about these last week. Remember, they were doing two movies in a row, 2 movies last week, and now the final 2 movies this week. The first one is Madres, a Mexican-American couple expecting their first child relocates to a migrant farming community in 1970s California. When the wife begins to experience strange symptoms and terrifying visions, she tries to determine if it's related to a legendary curse or something more nefarious. So there is that. The other Welcome to Blumhouse movie is The Manor. After suffering a stroke, Judith Albright moves into a historic nursing home where she begins to suspect something supernatural is preying on her residents, or on the residents. In order to escape, she'll need to convince everyone around her that she doesn't actually belong there after all. So there you go. The Welcome to Blumhouse movies, again, this is the second year they're doing it. Last year's movies were all pretty much met with a lot of fanfare. I haven't seen, that's my bad, I haven't been looking up anything really. I've just been so busy at work. I haven't seen any real reactions to the first 2 movies, and I haven't seen any reactions to these 2 movies yet. So I apologize, but they all look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, they all look pretty decent. They don't, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to finally delve into those and watch these. We have one more streaming movie for you guys, and this is on the official streaming site of Shudder, of course, dubbed and then the Netflix of horror. If you want to go watch that, it is the new VHS movie, VHS 94. It follows a SWAT team that raid a remote warehouse where they discover a sinister occult compound. That is apparently very hard to say. Whose collection of pre-recorded material uncovers a nightmarish conspiracy. The directors include David Buckner, who we mentioned earlier, who directed The Night House and The Ritual as well. I forgot to mention that earlier. The one on Netflix. He is actually spearheading the project and having a history with the project. He directed Amateur Nights in the first movie, so he has a very good connection to the series. Simon Barrett, who helped write and direct the last segment of the second movie, is also coming back and directing one of them here. One of my personal favorites, Timo. He's one of my personal favorites. I can't pronounce his name though. Timo Tanjahanto. He is also returning after co-directing Safe Haven from the sequel, which seems to be a very big fan favorite of the series and of fans, and probably some people even say the best segment of any VHS movie, which is really cool. It looks like he's doing this as well. He's got another kind of crazy looking thing, because I think Safe Haven was like a cult, kind of like a cult setting. This one seems like, at least from the trailers, it looks kind of like it's like a experiment of some sort, like in this weird dingy lab. I don't know, but there is that. Chloe Okuno, who directed the AFI horror short titled Slut, never thought I'd say that on the podcast, has projects in the works for Orion Pictures, and A24 is directing a segment here. Ryan Prowse is making his debut to the series, having directed the indie film Lowlife. And finally, Radio Silence, the directors of Ready or Not, is also in here. They are producers on all the segments and the whole film as a whole. So really good lineup there. Really good. I watched the first VHS. I saw Safe Haven. I never watched the entire sequel, but I did see Safe Haven. I know there's a third movie. I think this is the fourth movie they have, from what I remember. From what I can remember, I think this is the fourth movie. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I feel like there's three. I feel like now there's four movies. But I know I didn't watch the sequel, but I did watch the Safe Haven stuff because I heard how good it was, and I watched it. And it was good. So, yeah, you can go check those out. So, all right. So those are your streaming movies. Let's move on to the movies coming out in theaters. We have two limited releases this week. One of them is South of Heaven. This stars Jason Sudeikis. This is not a comedy. It's actually a kind of like a drama thriller, I guess you could say. Convicted felon Jimmy, played by Sudeikis, gets early parole after serving 12 years for armed robbery. Upon his release, he vows to get Annie, played by Evangeline Lilly, his childhood love, now dying from cancer, one last best year of her life. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. The film co-stars Shea Wingham and Mike Coulter. I think we briefly talked about the trailer for this when it came out, probably last month, maybe even before that, maybe 2 months ago. It looks rather good. Like I mentioned, it's like kind of like a drama thriller. I mean, you see Jason Sudeikis' name on there and you're like, oh, comedy. No, he's playing it very serious here. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that, hopefully at some point. The other limited release is talking about A24 earlier, the A24's newest movie, Lamb. A childless couple, Maria and Engard. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not going to try to pronounce who's playing the husband character, because I'm going to butcher that name entirely. I can't tell you who's playing the wife, or Maria, in the movie, and that's Noomi Rapace from the original Girl in the Dragon Tattoo, Prometheus. I know she was in something else that I think probably The Drop, if anyone saw that with Tom Hardy. I know she was in something else. I can't remember what it is now, but yeah, she's in here. So this childless couple discover a mysterious newborn on their farm in Iceland. The unexpected prospect of family life brings them much joy before ultimately destroying them. The trailer is very interesting. It's like, oh, okay, this is all right. Where's this going? And then it kind of like the middle is like, oh, no, what is this? Where is it going? And then the end is like, there's A24 horror for you. So yeah, there you go. That's Lamb for you guys. And it's also, it's not an English movie. It is, spoken in, Icelandic, I believe, since I know they actually filmed there. And I can tell you, this seems like I did not make this. I did not want to make this sound like a flex. Having been to Iceland and driving around the island, I would not want to drive there at night. And I definitely would have been freaked out if I was driving around and it was as foggy as it is in this trailer, because that would have really freaked me out. And I think it just adds to the atmosphere of it all as well. So there you go. All right, let's move away from my from that drop. Apologize for that. But of course, the big movie coming out in theaters this weekend for all your viewing pleasures, if you get a chance to watch it, is of course the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die, directed by Cary Jory Fukunaga. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I never actually learned how to pronounce his last name. But he directed Sin Nombre, the 2011 version of Jane Eyre. He also directed Netflix's Beast of No Nation, probably most known for the first season of HBO's True Detective. This is, of course, Daniel Craig's last James Bond movie. A lot of reviews coming out. Obviously, if you're from the UK, it already came out over there, but it's finally coming out here in the States. A lot of reviews are have come out. A lot of people are saying it's good. Some people are saying it's just okay. Some people are saying that it takes a while. It's kind of like a slow burn movie, but if you can stick with it for its very long runtime, because it is almost 3 hours long, then you're gonna enjoy it. But I'm looking forward. I've been looking forward to this. This is supposed to come out last year. Pandemic kind of ruined that, and now we're getting it this year. It kind of looked like the pandemic was probably going to ruin it again. Didn't happen, thankfully. But I have my tickets for this. I'm gonna go see this tomorrow. I'm so excited to watch this, and Daniel Craig has been great. He's been awesome. I know a lot of people. It feels like anytime a James Bond actor is announced, it's always met with like mixed reviews. And it's like anyone getting announced to play Batman or Superman or what have you. I mean, I feel like those are the characters recently that everyone's gonna complain about, because it's like, we know these characters and, we grow attached to them. I know probably back in the day when Sean Connery was playing Bond and they were like, well, no more Sean Connery. We're going with Timothy Dalton. Everyone was like, what? And then we're going with Pierce Brosnan. What? And then, and now we went with Daniel Craig. And honestly, I can't remember what the reaction was when Daniel Craig was announced as the new James, because I had seen Daniel Craig in one thing. I hadn't seen him in Layer Cake. That was the only thing that I have seen him in before I had to go back and remember that. But vividly, I can remember seeing Layer Cake before he was cast as James Bond. And I was like, okay, he's a new guy. Like I grew up on Pierce Brosnan. That was my James Bond growing up. Because I'm that young. But I've gone back and watched the Sean Connery ones. But this is, I don't know. It's interesting to see him go through. Obviously he's had playing this character. There's that infamous review saying that he would rather slit his wrists than play James Bond again. But he was thrust into it. He was thrust in the superstar. He really was kind of no one really knew who he was. He was, obviously in the nicest way possible, a nobody when he got cast for Casino Royale. Casino Royale came out and people came around on him. And then Quantum of Solace came out. And again, we talked about earlier, the writer's strike happened. The movie was a very troubled production for the most part. And, the movie, if you ask people, if you say what's the worst James Bond of the Daniel Craig bunch, some of them will most likely say Quantum of Solace. Some of them will say it was probably even Spectre. So that was the last movie that came out. And then, we had Skyfall, and Skyfall was like, oh yeah, all right, we're going back to, we're getting back into it. And then Spectre came out and people were very divided on Spectre. Honestly, I don't think I'll have time to go back and watch Spectre before this, but, Spectre was okay. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't awesome. But I've liked Daniel Craig as James Bond. I think he does a pretty good job. He's got the look, he's got the wit, and I think Daniel Craig has done an awesome job as James Bond. Will I be sad to see him go? Yeah. But at the same time, we always know someone's always going to come around and play James Bond. That's, not every actor is going to stick around and play James Bond for the rest of their life. So I'm excited to see what happens with this. I've heard some very good things about it. I'm excited to see where it goes. And yeah, so there you go. Those are your releases for the week. In theaters and streaming. Those are your movie news items for the week. If anything else big drops, then I will put it right here. And if not, then thank you very much for listening to the podcast this week. I very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. No matter where you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, on Spotify, thank you so much for listening. Have a good weekend. All the trailers will be linked down below in the description/show notes area. All the links where you can follow the podcast will be linked down below, like the Instagram and Twitter for the podcast, like my personal Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow me personally, that's also up on there. And yeah, I will be doing spooky season related episodes. Those will probably start coming out next week. Hopefully, if I can finally have time to sit down and record one of them. I probably record a couple of them just to, get ahead of it. But yeah, those will be coming out hopefully next week. And thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Hopefully you have a good week. Hopefully you're having a good week, great week. And hopefully you have a very good weekend, safe weekend. Remember to be good people. Not that hard to be a good person. Not that hard, guys. Continue to be safe out there because, again, there's still COVID. Please be safe. Please be smart. Please be considerate. And that's it. Be good people. And I will see you guys next week. Remember to always keep watching movies. That's not how. And remember to go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!